Hello everyone, welcome back. Today in this session we are going to discuss about the CRUD operations using Spring Boot and MySQL. Here we have student application. In this student application I have opened the form.xml. In this form.xml I have added the certain dependencies. Here we have Spring Starter JPA dependency, Starter Web dependency, and Dev Tools, MySQL connector, and Lombok dependencies. Let me start building the application. New package. Let me build the entity class. I have created the entity package. Right click, new Java class, student. In the student class, I am taking the private integer student number, private string student name, private string student class, private string school name. These are the attributes in this entity class. Let me annotate this class with at the rate of data, at the rate of entity. This ID with at the rate of ID, at the rate of generated value, so that it will automatically generate the ID for us. We no need to manually mention the ID. Generated value strategy strategy generation type is identity. That's it. Control save. Let me build the repository and keep it in the repository package or repos package. New Java class student repository. Which extends the CRUD repository that takes the entity class name, comma, primary key type. That's all. After this, let me create the service class. Student service. Create an interface. Write the methods. Public integer save student. That takes the student as an entity. public list of list of student get all students. Public student get student by id that takes the integer primary key. Student number. Public student updates. No need of update method. Public void delete student that takes the integer number. Now create the keep this student service in the service package. Create the implementation, service implementation. Student service impl. That student service impl that extends the that implements the student service that will override the all the methods. Yes. Inject the repository here. Private student student repository at the rate of auto this. Now by using the repository dot call the save method, save and pass the student incoming student dot get us number. Yes, student has been saved and the id has been returned, student number. Here repository dot find out that returns the iterable student. Let me typecast it. Yes. Here repository dot find by id, pass the student number dot get Yes. Now delete the student. To delete the student, simple repository dot delete by id. Pass the id. Yes. After this, create the controller class. Keep that in the controller package. Package project of controller new Java class student controller class. Don't forget to annotate this implementation service implementation class with at the rate of service. Open the student controller. Annotate this class with at the rate of REST controller. After this, inject the service student service and auto while this auto while. Now write the methods for this. Public, first we will save the student. For that I am returning the response entity of type string save student that takes the student at the rate of request body. The purpose of this request body annotation is in the Postman when we are entering the student details and when we try to save the student details into the database, we are entering the details in the Postman as a JSON object. This request body annotation will convert the JSON into the will deserialize the JSON object into the Java object and it will save the student details into the database. For this purpose, we will use the at the rate of request body annotation. Now, service dot save student id that returns the id. Now return new, create the response entity object that takes the string. Now student with id has been saved. Has been saved, comma HTTP status dot okay. Annotate this with the rate of post mapping slash save student. Annotate this also with request mapping slash student details. After this, public list, response entity of list of student get all student details. Get all student details. Service dot get all students. List. Return new response entity list of student, pass the list comma http status dot okay dot okay. At the rate of get mapping slash student list. After this, public response entity pass this single student get student by id, pass the id integer s number at the rate of path variable s number. This path variable annotation is mainly used to bind the student number with the this at the rate of path variable mainly used to bind the method parameter with the parameter which is there in the URL. It is used to bind the method parameter with the parameter which is there in the URL that we are giving. Service dot get student as number. STD. Now return new response entity of type student std comma http status not okay. Annotate this with the rate of get mapping slash after this update the student public response entity of type string update student integer as number comma student at the rate of path variable as number at the rate of request body slash at the rate of put mapping copy paste slash as number. Now how I will update the student? Let clearly observe this. Service dot I'm getting the from service class I'm getting the get student by id and pass the id. I will assign statement to new local variable std from db, and now std from db dot set student name student dot get student std from db dot set student school name student school name student dot get student school name. Std from db dot set student class student dot get student class. Yes. Now what I have did here is in the parameters this is the incoming student. That means we are giving the student details. This is giving student details object. Here from the service class I have get the student by using the id, and after this I have assigned statement to new local variable that generates the single student, and by using the student I am reading the student details from the user, and I am setting the student details into the student object which is there in the database. That means I am manipulating, I am updating the data which is there in the database like this. And service dot save student. id return new response entity that takes the string and student with has been updated, comma, http status dot okay. Now public response entity that takes the string delete student and pass the ID. At the rate of path variable at the rate of delete mapping slash SL. S number pass this number that returns nothing because it is returning void in the service class. We will return the response entity string s number student with has been deleted, comma, http status dot okay. Yes, we have done with the coding part. In the resources section, application not properties, try to configure the application. Spring dot data source dot driver hyphen class hyphen name equal to com dot mysql dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. Spring dot data source dot url equal to jdbc colon mysql colon slash slash localhost colon 3306 slash I'm taking the database as student hyphen CRUD. Student hyphen underscore CRUD. Spring dot data source dot username is equal to spring dot data source dot password equal to root at the rate of 123. Spring dot JPA dot show hyphen SQL. I'm setting this as true. Spring dot JPA dot Hibernate dot DDL hyphen auto. I'm setting this as create. Spring dot dot JPA dot database hyphen platform equal to org dot hibernate dot dialect dot MySQL 8 dialect. Now everything is completed coding part. I will try to run the application. Control Shift. Control Shift. Application has started and database has been table has been created in the database. Let me open the Postman and try to take another post localhost colon 8080 slash student controller slash same student body, taking this as raw and the text type as JSON. Student name, column, finish, student class, eight class, school name, same nouns, student with one ID 1 has been saved. Let me create another one also. John seventh class, student with ID 2 has been saved. Let me get complete students Let me get the student list. Here, this is the complete student list. Let me get the single student. Slash second student id 2. Here this is the student with the id 2. Let me update the student. Copy. Update the student with id 2. Here I am updating the name as John. I am removing the John, name John as, and I am updating it as Mark with the id 2. Let me change this to put for updation. Click on save. Student with 2 id 2 has been updated. Let me recheck it. Get. See here, before it is student name is John with the id 2, now it is Mark. Now let me delete the student. Copy. Delete the student with id 2. Click on delete. Click on delete. Student with 2 has been id 2 has been deleted. Let me get all the students whether the student with id 2 has been deleted or not. Let me recheck it once again by getting all the student details. Copy. Get. See here, we are having only Anish with id 1. The student id 2 has been deleted. That's all about Spring Boot CRUD operations. These are the queries that has been executed in the background. That's all about this session. Thank you.